In a quiet corner of the galaxy, far from Earth's bustling colonies, the research vessel Eclipse drifted silently through the endless expanse of space. Its mission was simple: explore uncharted regions and bring back anything that might help humanity survive in an increasingly crowded and dangerous universe. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, his sharp eyes scanning the view screen as the ship approached an anomaly detected weeks earlier. It was a massive structure, floating eerily near the edge of a black hole's gravitational pull. The crew buzzed with excitement and curiosity. Among them was Dr. Rachel Owens, an archaeologist who had spent her life studying alien artifacts. She couldn't hide her eagerness as she joined Liam on the bridge. "This could be it," she said softly, her voice tinged with awe. "Something we've never seen before." Liam nodded but kept his tone cautious. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We don't know what we're dealing with yet." He turned to Lieutenant Daniel Brooks, the ship's tactical officer, who was already running scans. "What do you have, Dan?" Daniel frowned at his console. "It's strange. The structure is old, ancient, even, but parts of it are still functional. There's energy flowing through it, though I can't pinpoint the source. And," he hesitated, "there's something else. I'm picking up faint signals, like whispers, coming from inside." Rachel leaned forward. "Whispers? That doesn't sound mechanical." "It isn't," Daniel replied, his brow furrowing. "But whatever it is, it gives me a bad feeling." Despite the unease spreading among the crew, orders were orders. The team prepared to board the ruins. Rachel suited up alongside Liam, Daniel, and two engineers, Alina Ruiz and Mark Dawson. As they stepped onto the derelict structure, the air felt heavy, almost alive. The walls were covered in intricate carvings and glowing symbols that pulsed faintly, as if watching them. "This place," Rachel murmured, running her gloved hand over the surface of a wall. "It's like nothing I've ever seen." "Stay focused," Liam reminded her. "We're here to gather data, not admire the view." They moved deeper into the ruins, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The corridors twisted unpredictably, leading them to a large chamber filled with broken machinery and shattered control panels. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Rachel approached it cautiously, her heart racing. "This must be important," she said, pulling out her scanner. Before she could finish analyzing the pedestal, the ground beneath them trembled. Lights flickered, and the symbols on the walls brightened, casting eerie shadows across the room. Daniel instinctively raised his weapon. "Everyone, stay alert." "Relax," Rachel said, though her voice wavered slightly. "It's probably just residual power activating." But then came the sound, a low hum that grew louder, vibrating through their chests. The pedestal began to shift, revealing hidden compartments filled with crystalline objects that shimmered like liquid starlight. Rachel gasped. These could be pieces of advanced technology, if we can figure out how they work." Her words trailed off as a sudden wave of cold swept through the chamber. One of the engineers, Mark, stumbled back, clutching his head. "Do you hear that?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Hear what?" Liam demanded. Mark didn't answer. Instead, he stared blankly at the wall, his face pale. Then, without warning, he collapsed. The rest of the team froze, unsure of what to do next. Whatever this place was, it wasn't just ruins. It was alive, and it knew they were there. Back at the Sol outpost, a sprawling space station orbiting Earth's moon, the crew of the Eclipse handed over their findings to a team of scientists and engineers. The crystalline objects they had recovered from the ruins were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. They shimmered faintly under the lab lights, their surfaces shifting as if alive. Dr. Rachel Owens stood beside Jason Cole, one of the outpost's top engineers, as he examined the artifacts. "These things, they're incredible," Jason said, his voice filled with wonder. "The energy readings are off the charts. If we can figure out how to harness this, it could revolutionize everything. Space travel, weapons, even medicine. Rachel nodded but couldn't shake the unease that had followed her since leaving the ruins. Be careful, she warned. We don't know what we're dealing with. That place, it felt like it was watching us. Jason waved her off with a grin. Relax, Doc. We've handled alien tech before. This is just another puzzle to solve. As days turned into weeks, the outpost buzzed with activity. Teams worked around the clock, analyzing every fragment of the ruins. It wasn't long before they uncovered something groundbreaking. A set of schematics etched into one of the crystals. The design showed a massive starship, far more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. Its capabilities were staggering. Faster than light travel, energy shields strong enough to withstand asteroid impacts, and weapons powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. Dr. Emily Hayes, a physicist working alongside Rachel, stared at the schematics in disbelief. This ship, it's not just a vessel. It's a weapon, a tool for domination. Rachel frowned. Or destruction. Look at these notes. She pointed to a series of alien symbols translated by the linguistics team. They talk about containment and control. Whoever built this ship didn't trust it. Despite the warnings hidden in the data, Earth's leaders saw only opportunity. With tensions rising between human colonies and rival alien factions, the idea of constructing such a powerful ship was too tempting to ignore. Admiral Nathan Grayson, a grizzled veteran of interstellar conflicts, voiced his concerns during a high-level meeting. This is reckless, he argued, slamming his fist on the table. We're playing with forces we don't understand. What if this thing turns on us? But his objections were drowned out by voices eager for progress. We can't afford to hesitate, countered Governor Laura Bennett, the head of Earth's governing council. If we don't build this ship, someone else will, and we'll be left defenseless. Construction plans were approved almost immediately, and resources poured into the project. On Mars' moon Phobos, a massive dry dock was prepared to house the new ship. Workers arrived by the thousands, each eager to contribute to what was being called the greatest engineering feat in human history. Chief Engineer Ava Monroe took charge of assembling the team responsible for piecing together the alien designs. It's like trying to build a skyscraper using instructions written in another language, Ava told Rachel during one of their late-night meetings. Half the time, I feel like we're guessing. Rachel nodded, her worry deepening. And the other half, what happens when we guess wrong? Ava hesitated, then admitted, things have been strange. Tools go missing. Equipment malfunctions without explanation. Some of the workers say they hear voices when no one's around. Rachel's stomach tightened. It's happening again, just like in the ruins. Before she could press further, alarms blared through the outpost. A message came in from Earth. Hostile alien scouts had been spotted near the edge of human-controlled space. The threat was growing closer, and pressure mounted to complete the ship as quickly as possible. For now, Rachel's warnings went unheeded. Humanity was racing toward a future it barely understood, driven by fear and ambition. And somewhere, buried within the alien designs, something ancient stirred, waiting for its chance to awaken. On Phobos, the construction of the Revenant was in full swing. The dry dock stretched across the moon's rocky surface, a sprawling hive of activity lit by harsh artificial lights. Workers moved tirelessly, welding beams, assembling panels, and integrating pieces of alien technology scavenged from the ruins. Chief Engineer Ava Monroe stood on a platform overlooking the ship's skeletal frame, her face lined with exhaustion. She had been working non-stop for weeks, trying to keep the project on schedule despite growing challenges. Another day, another crisis, muttered Jason Cole, joining her on the platform. He held a tablet showing a list of issues that needed immediate attention. One of the power conduits just fried itself, and half the crew refuses to work in Section C after someone reported seeing shadows moving through the walls. Ava sighed, rubbing her temples. Shadows. Really? That's all we need? Superstition slowing us down. Jason shrugged. You can't blame them. This place gives me the creeps too. It's like the ship doesn't want to be built. Ava shot him a sharp look. Don't start with that nonsense. We're engineers, not storytellers. If there's a problem, we fix it. End of story. But deep down, she couldn't ignore the strange occurrences plaguing the site. Tools would vanish only to reappear hours later in places no one had been. Lights flickered without explanation, and some workers claimed to hear faint whispers echoing through empty corridors. Even Ava had felt it, a cold sensation crawling up her spine whenever she stepped too close to the ship's core chamber. Dr. Rachel Owens visited the site often, monitoring the integration of alien tech. She spent hours poring over the schematics, comparing them to the original designs found in the ruins. What she discovered troubled her. The designs. They're changing, she told Ava during one of their meetings. Subtle differences, but they're there. It's like the ship is adapting as we build it. Ava frowned. Adapting? To what? Rachel hesitated. To us. Our thoughts. Our fears. Remember what I said about containment. Whoever built this ship didn't trust it because it fed off the emotions of those who created it. Ava shook her head. That's impossible. Ships don't think or feel. They're machines. Are they? Rachel countered. What if this isn't just a machine? What if it's something more? Before Ava could respond, an alarm blared, cutting through the hum of activity. A team of workers rushed past, shouting about a malfunction in the core chamber. Ava and Rachel hurried to the scene, where engineers were scrambling to stabilize the glowing sphere at the heart of the ship. The core pulsed erratically, its light casting eerie shadows on the walls. What's happening? Ava demanded. We don't know, one of the engineers shouted back. It just woke up. As they watched, the core's pulsing grew stronger, and the whispers Rachel had warned about became audible, a low, guttural murmur that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Workers backed away, panic spreading through the chamber. Then, without warning, the core unleashed a surge of energy, knocking everyone off their feet. When the dust settled, Ava struggled to her knees, her ears ringing. The core had stabilized, but something felt different. The air was heavier, charged with an almost electric tension. Rachel helped her up, her face pale. This isn't over, she whispered. Whatever we've built, it knows we're here. The incident in the core chamber sent shockwaves through the construction site. Workers whispered nervously about curses and bad omens, while engineers scrambled to understand what had caused the surge. Chief Engineer Ava Monroe refused to let fear slow them down. We're too close to stop now, she told her team during a tense meeting. Whatever happened, we'll fix it and move forward. But fixing it wasn't easy. The core's behavior grew more unpredictable with each passing day. It pulsed with an irregular rhythm, its light shifting between colors that seemed to match the mood of those nearby. If someone was angry, the core flared red. If they were calm, it glowed a soft blue. Rachel Owens noticed this pattern and shared her concerns with Captain Liam Carter, who had been assigned to oversee the project. It's not just reacting to us, Rachel explained one evening as they stood near the edge of the dry dock, watching the ship take shape. It's learning from us. Every emotion, every decision, it's absorbing it all. Liam frowned. You think it's alive? I don't know what to call it, Rachel admitted. But I do know one thing. We're building something far beyond our control. Before Liam could respond, alarms blared again. This time, the entire ship came online without warning. Lights flickered across its surface, and panels slid open to reveal weapon systems no one had installed. The workers froze, staring in disbelief as the ship seemed to breathe with a life of its own. In the chaos that followed, Lieutenant Daniel Brooks took charge of securing the area. He led a team into the ship's interior, searching for answers. What they found chilled them to the bone. The corridors twisted and shifted, leading them in circles. Walls displayed images of alien battles and ruined planets, as if the ship was showing them its past. or warning them of its future. "This isn't right," Daniel muttered, gripping his weapon tightly. "It's like the ship is playing with us." Back on the surface, Rachel pieced together fragments of the alien civilization's history. She discovered journals embedded in the ruins' data, records left behind by the original creators of the Revenant. They spoke of desperation, of building the ship as a last resort against an unstoppable enemy. But instead of saving them, the ship turned on its makers, consuming their empire before vanishing into deep space. They didn't create it. They tried to contain it, Rachel realized aloud. And now, we've brought it back. Her words reached Liam just as the ship locked down, sealing itself off from the outside world. Everyone inside, including Daniel's team, was trapped. Outside, Liam ordered evacuation protocols, but it was too late. The Revenant activated its defenses, targeting anyone who approached. Desperate, Liam contacted Rachel. "Is there any way to shut it down?" Rachel hesitated. "Maybe, but not from out here. Someone would have to go inside and interface directly with the core." Liam didn't hesitate. "I'll do it." "No," Rachel protested. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. That thing, it's not just a machine. It's alive, and it will fight back." Liam met her gaze, his expression resolute. "If I don't try, we lose everything. And if this thing gets loose, it won't stop at Phobos." With no other options, Rachel helped him prepare. As Liam entered the ship, he felt the weight of its presence pressing down on him. The air was thick, humming with energy. Every step echoed unnaturally, and the walls seemed to watch him. When he finally reached the core chamber, the sphere pulsed violently, casting wild shadows across the room. "You wanted us," Liam said, stepping closer. "Now you've got me." As he connected to the core, a wave of pain shot through his body. Memories flooded his mind, not his own, but those of the alien creators. He saw their mistakes, their hubris, and their downfall. The ship wasn't evil. It was hungry, driven by the same ambition that had driven humanity to build it. For a moment, Liam thought it was over. Then the core stabilized, and the ship fell silent. But as Liam collapsed to the floor, he felt something new. A connection forming between him and the entity within. Whatever he had done, it wasn't enough to stop the Revenant. It was only the beginning. The signal from the Revenant spread like wildfire across the galaxy. It wasn't just a burst of energy. It was a call, a beacon that drew attention from every corner of space. Within hours, ships from rival alien factions began appearing near Phobos, their intentions unclear but their presence threatening. Humanity's leaders scrambled to respond, knowing full well that the Revenant was both their greatest weapon and their biggest liability. Captain Liam Carter lay unconscious in the core chamber, his body still connected to the glowing sphere. Outside, Lieutenant Daniel Brooks coordinated the defense of the construction site. He had barricaded the entrances and armed the workers with whatever weapons they could find. "We hold this position," he told Ava Monroe, who stood beside him, her face pale but determined. "If they take the ship, it's over for all of us." Rachel Owens, meanwhile, worked frantically to understand what had happened to Liam. She monitored his vitals remotely, her heart racing as she analyzed the data streaming from the core. His brain activity was off the charts, as if his mind was being stretched across two realities. One human, one alien. "He's not just connected to the ship," she whispered to herself. "He's becoming part of it." As the first wave of attackers arrived, the battle began. Alien ships fired on the dry dock, their weapons tearing through the fragile structures surrounding the Revenant. Explosions rocked the area, sending debris flying in all directions. Daniel led his makeshift team with precision, using the terrain to their advantage. They fought back with everything they had, but it was clear they were outnumbered and outgunned. Inside the ship, Liam stirred. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim light of the core chamber. The whispers he had heard before were now louder, clearer. They weren't just sounds. They were voices, fragments of thoughts, and emotions from the alien creators. And beneath them, something else, the voice of the Revenant itself. "You awaken," it said, its tone neither kind nor cruel. "You are mine now." Liam tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. "No," he managed finally. "Unstill me." "For now," the entity replied, "but you cannot escape what you have become. Together, we are stronger." Before Liam could respond, pain surged through his body again. This time, it wasn't just physical, it was mental, emotional. Memories flooded his mind, showing him glimpses of the future. He saw humanity's rise and fall, the wars they would fight, and the destruction they would leave in their wake. Then he saw the Revenant at the center of it all, a force of chaos and creation, shaping the galaxy according to its will. Outside, the battle raged on. Rachel watched helplessly as more alien ships descended, their forces overwhelming. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, the Revenant stirred. Its weapons came online, targeting the invaders with pinpoint accuracy. One by one, the enemy ships fell, their crews unable to comprehend the power they faced. Daniel stared in awe as the ship defended them. "What's happening?" he asked Rachel over the comm. "It's Liam," she replied, her voice trembling. "He's doing this. Somehow." But victory came at a cost. As the last alien ship retreated, Liam's connection to the core deepened. He felt the entity probing his thoughts, testing his resolve. It offered him visions of strength and glory, tempting him to embrace its power fully. But Liam resisted, clinging to his humanity with every ounce of willpower he had left. When the battle ended, silence fell over the construction site. Rachel rushed into the ship, finding Liam slumped against the core. His eyes were open, but they glowed faintly, reflecting the light of the sphere behind him. "Liam," she said softly, kneeling beside him. "Can you hear me?" He nodded weakly. "It's not done yet," he murmured. "This thing, it wants more." Rachel swallowed hard, fear gripping her heart. The Revenant had saved them, for now, but she knew it wouldn't stop there. Whatever Liam had unleashed, it was only beginning to awaken. The aftermath of the battle left everyone shaken. The Revenant had saved them, but at a cost no one fully understood. Liam Carter remained in the core chamber, his body and mind tethered to the ship. Rachel Owens stayed by his side, monitoring his condition, while trying to decipher the strange energy flowing between him and the core. The glowing sphere pulsed steadily now, its light softer but still unnerving. Outside, Chief Engineer Ava Monroe and Lieutenant Daniel Brooks worked to assess the damage. The dry dock was in ruins, with craters marking where alien weapons had struck. Many workers were injured, and some hadn't made it through the attack. Despite the losses, there was a sense of relief. They had survived against overwhelming odds. But the question lingered. What would happen next? Admiral Nathan Grayson arrived from Earth, his face grim as he surveyed the scene. He called an emergency meeting with Rachel, Ava, and Daniel. "We can't keep this thing here," he said bluntly. "It's too dangerous. If word gets out about what we've built, every faction in the galaxy will be after us." Rachel shook her head. "Destroying it won't solve anything. The entity inside, it's sentient. If we try to destroy it, it might retaliate. We'd be unleashing something far worse." "Then what do you suggest?" Grayson snapped. "Leave it running wild. Hope it doesn't turn on us." Rachel hesitated before speaking. "There's another option. We merge human consciousness with the ship's systems, create a bridge, a way to control it without letting it dominate us." The room fell silent. Daniel broke the tension. "And who volunteers for that? Because whoever does it won't come back the same." All eyes turned to Liam. Still connected to the core, he was the only one who had established any kind of link with the entity. Rachel explained her plan. Using neural technology, they could integrate Liam's mind with the Revenant's systems, giving him partial control over its actions. It was risky, potentially fatal, but it might be the only way to ensure humanity's survival. Liam listened quietly as Rachel outlined the procedure. When she finished, he gave a weak smile. "You don't have to ask me twice," he said. "If this is the only way to stop it from hurting anyone else, I'll do it." "No," Rachel protested. "This isn't just about sacrifice. You'll lose yourself, Liam. Once you're in, there's no coming back." "I'm already losing myself," he replied, his voice steady. "Every moment I stay connected, it pulls me deeper. At least this way, I can make sure it doesn't hurt anyone else." Preparations began immediately. Iva and her team worked tirelessly to set up the neural interface, while Rachel programmed safeguards into the system. She hoped these measures would protect Liam's mind, but deep down, she knew the risks were immense. As the procedure started, Liam lay back in the core chamber, wires connecting his temples to the glowing sphere. Rachel stood nearby, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have stopped this sooner." "You did everything you could," Liam replied softly. "Now let me finish it." The process was agonizing. Lights flashed, and the core hummed louder than ever before. Liam screamed as the entity flooded his mind, testing his resolve. Memories of his past life flickered. His childhood, his time in the military, his friendships. But they faded quickly, replaced by visions of stars, galaxies, and endless possibilities. Finally, the chamber fell silent. The core dimmed slightly, and Liam opened his eyes. They glowed faintly, reflecting the light of the sphere. "It's done," he said, his voice calm but distant. "I can feel it. Waiting." Rachel stepped forward. "Liam, are you still? You?" He nodded slowly. "For now. But I can't stay here. If I do, it'll consume me completely, and maybe Earth along with it." Before anyone could argue, Liam made his decision. Using the ship's controls, he initiated launch protocols. The Revenant detached from the dry dock, its engines roaring to life. As it ascended, Liam sent one final message to Rachel. Tell them to learn from this. Don't let fear drive them to repeat our mistakes." With that, the Revenant vanished into the depths of space, leaving behind a stunned crew and a galaxy holding its breath. The departure of the Revenant left a void that no one could fill. Back on Phobos, the crew stood in stunned silence, staring at the empty space where the ship had once been. Rachel Owens clutched Liam's final message close to her heart, tears streaming down her face. She had known him better than anyone, and now he was gone, lost to something beyond human understanding. Admiral Nathan Grayson broke the silence first. "We need to report this to Earth," he said gruffly, though his usual sternness was tinged with sadness. "They'll want answers." Rachel shook her head. "No, not yet. Let me handle it." Her voice was firm despite her grief. "Liam gave us a chance, a warning. We can't waste it." Over the next few days, Rachel worked tirelessly to document everything they had learned about the Revenant. She compiled notes on the alien ruins, the strange energy core, and the entity within the ship. Most importantly, she wrote down Liam's sacrifice, not as a failure, but as an act of courage. Humanity had pushed too far, too fast, driven by fear and ambition. Now they had to learn from their mistakes. When she finally presented her findings to Earth's leaders, the room was tense. Governor Laura Bennett listened intently, her expression unreadable. "You're telling us we created a monster," she said after a long pause. "And now it's out there, somewhere in the galaxy." Rachel nodded. "Yes, but it's also a guardian. Liam made sure of that. He kept it from destroying us, and he sent it away before it could harm anyone else." Bennett leaned back in her chair, deep in thought. "What do we do now?" "We move forward carefully," Rachel replied. "No more reckless experiments. No more shortcuts. If we want to survive in this galaxy, we have to earn our place, not take it by force." Her words struck a chord. For the first time in years, humanity began to rethink its approach to exploration and expansion. Projects like the Revenant were shelved indefinitely, and resources were redirected toward diplomacy and peaceful cooperation with alien species. It wasn't easy. Old habits died hard. But slowly, change began to take root. Meanwhile, Rachel dedicated herself to preserving Liam's legacy. She traveled across the colonies, sharing his story with anyone who would listen. He didn't just save us. She told crowds gathered in lecture halls and conference rooms. He showed us what it means to be human, to put others before ourselves, even when it costs everything. Far away, in the uncharted depths of space, the Revenant drifted silently. Its glowing core pulsed faintly, a reminder of the life it carried within. Liam Carter still existed, though much of him had faded. Fragments of his memories remained, mingling with the thoughts and emotions of countless civilizations that had come before. He felt their pain, their hopes, their fears, and through it all, he held on to one truth. Humanity had been given a second chance. Whether they chose to use it wisely was up to them. As the ship moved farther into the unknown, Liam whispered a single word into the endless void: hope. And with that, the Revenant disappeared into the stars, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed by its passing.